Just a quick warning to y'all, there's a little discussion of drug usage throughout today's review. If that's a trigger for you, please take care while listening. This week's movie, Love Lies Bleeding. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and I'm leaving the theater.
Check. Ronald, check. All right. All right. This is Ronald, and I am leaving the theater after seeing Love Lies Bleeding. Love Lies Bleeding, written by Weronika Tofilska and Rose Glass, directed by Rose Glass. Starring Kristen Stewart, Katy O'Brien, Ed Harris, Jena Malone, Anna Barishnikov, and Dave Franco. And as usual, for a complete cast listing, you can go to the link in our show notes. I am not here alone. I am here with
Caroline Hamric.
All right. So, Love Lies Bleeding is a movie about a relationship with two women in which a crime spree happens. And that's the if you've seen the preview for this movie, it's okay. So these two women are in a relationship, and essentially one of them is a bodybuilder, the other one owns a gym. They start this relationship. One of them's on their way to bodybuild to this bodybuilding competition, and while they're trying to achieve her dream of being in this bodybuilding competition, something happens. I'm still processing this movie. This was a lot. Caroline, what did you think?
I loved it. I actually really loved this movie. And there was a part of me that was like, this movie had everything. Bodybuilding, lesbians, crime sprees, fantastical imagery, bugs. But no. Honestly, though, the story is compelling. I identified with the characters. I think the acting was good. I really liked it.
I thought this movie was fantastic until it stopped being good. It was about 2/3 of the movie, I was with it. I was like, it's 4.25, and it was going up. And I was like, all it can do now is fall flat on its face or
Daisy?
Just stay normal.
Was it Daisy that did it?
No, it wasn't. Well, it wasn't just Daisy. I think what happened to Daisy kind of impacted the rest of the movie for me. All of a sudden, it seemed like the movie just decided it was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like a movie that saw itself as pretty good. I'll put it like this. This was a movie that when watching it for the first 2/3 of it, I was like, it's surprising that this movie is coming out in March, because this seems like the acting is good, the story is good, it's compelling. There's no reason why this shouldn't be out in November or December, because this should be an Oscar movie. And then it just completely just jumps off the rails in a way that maybe would have been fair, I think, for like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood kind of did something similar. And I don't think that movie deserved an Oscar, but it was Quentin Tarantino. But this one kind of lost it for me at the end.
I can see where you're coming from with that, but the things, I think that you're talking a little bit about like the fantasy element of it that comes in at a certain point. And I can understand, but I feel like they started building towards it. Like they were alluding to it. It was happening a little bit. And I really liked that element even before what I knew what it was building towards.
So you knew what was going to happen?
No, I'm saying I didn't know what was going to happen. But they had laid enough groundwork that when it happened, I was like, yeah.
I just don't think. I think so they were doing a lot of things with sound, bodies, and viscera that, like, for me, felt like it was going in a direction, but when it goes where it's going, it doesn't explain. It just says, yeah, are you with us? And I wasn't. I'm like, no, you have not done enough for this to be where you're going. And like, there's so much to answer for, so much to account for in this film. And then on top of that, I think there's a question of morality, because I'm like, the protagonist wasn't like good. Like, I feel like I think the movie wants me to root against Ed Harris in a way that Ed Harris pointed out something when she said, I think while he has an interaction with his daughter and she says to him, I'm nothing like you. And I'm like, whoa, you're exactly like him, though. What are you talking about?
Because here's why I say, because people do things under the influence of power, and especially under the influence of family members, that they may or may not later decide, that's not me, man. Like,
okay, but she did a lot.
Sure, yes.
Like, towards the end, it's like, I mean, even the last one with the credits rolling, who was influencing her on that one?
Okay, fun fact, Daisy is Mikhail Barishnikov's kid.
Yes, I know that. But who was influencing her on that one?
Nobody.
Well, and I'm saying, like, if she's easily manipulatable, then it makes sense. But I'm like,
it wasn't that I was saying she was easily manipulatable. It was that I was saying that, like,
easily manipulated. Sorry.
Right. Not that she's easily manipulated, but that she was living for a period of time. Like, when you're a young person trying to find your identity, what your parents influence you to do or tell you is normal is going to be a big factor. And I don't think there's, like, it's not like good person, bad person. It's about the choices you make. And at some point, the character made the choice to, like, say, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm not going to talk to that person anymore. I'm not going to associate. I mean, I am still going to run his gym or whatever. But, like, yeah, it's grades. It's gradients.
I don't know, man. It just seems like at some point, if she knows he's bad, she knows that he's bad. She recognized he was bad. She was telling the girl that she was dating he was bad, but she was still, like, suckling at the teat in a lot of ways. Like, who was paying for that house? Obviously. Who was paying for that gym? Obviously. So then, like, when stuff goes down, you get to the end and it's like, I've had enough. I want to go from one oppressor to the other oppressor and do her bidding now.
Okay, let me tell you something, though. As a woman, there is a way in which you kind of feel like you're going from one oppressor to another oppressor.
I would, if you were talking about another man, I'd be like, okay.
It is another man, though, because it's JJ, and she feels like she's the only thing standing between JJ and the destruction of her sister.
I'm talking about her girlfriend.
Oh, wait. So you think the girlfriend is a destructive force?
Yes. Like, I feel like all of the things, I'm like, if you look at all of the ways in which that woman was essentially ruining her life worse than her father. Like, her father started to clean up the mess.
Hard disagree.
Tell me how. Okay, I want you to explain to me how. She literally covered her tracks. How many bodies did she take that this girl was responsible for, that she had to now throw into a ravine, roll up, or whatever? There was only one that her father was responsible for. It was the cop that he sent to kill her. Which at that point, I was like, honestly, she got to go. You were acting up. This girl is messing up the money, and now we're like, she can't go nowhere?
We got roid rage. We've got abused women situation. We've got, I'm fighting with my significant other because of this dude. You put all those things together, and the person who is unhoused...
She wasn't fighting because of the dude.
She was a little bit fighting because of the dude.
No, she was fighting because she fought with him because she murdered someone.
They fought in the car on the way back from dinner when she discovers
yes.
that the dude and what I'm saying. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here.
Yes.
But like, you take a person who is vulnerable. I get that she's physically strong, but she is vulnerable. She's been cast out by her family. She's LGBTQ, and God only knows what year that was supposed to be. Like the 80s? I don't know.
89.
Okay, all right, good, great. That's right, the fucking, the banner. But so, like, you have, your family has ostracized you, which we discover with the phone call. You're unhoused. You're like maybe finding something secure and maybe about to like finally realize a dream or whatever, and then it's like tenuous. Then it's like potentially up in the air and maybe not going to happen, partially because you and your significant other are fighting over this fucking dude who it turns out is a fucking wife beater. Like, fuck that guy. Come on. Fuck that guy.
I mean, I'm not saying that JJ shouldn't be dead. I'm saying that at some point there has to be some, like, you cannot do stuff like this and not have consequences for your actions. And the two of them are cleaning. These are two forces of chaos that are like intertwined amongst each other. And all I'm saying is at one point, Dad was like, okay, this is a mess. I got to clean this up. And I feel like I feel like the part of you that doesn't look at that, especially when she's on the phone with him and we're supposed to be on her side, where she says, nah. And I'm like, yo, this girl what is wrong with you? Get out of this. This is crazy. You got to go home. Like, you got to leave town. And she's like, nah, I love her. What are you talking about?
Here's the thing. You're absolutely right in that the dad was the only person who could clean up the mess that had been created.
He was the only one being rational at that point.
I know.
I'm not saying he's good. I just want to be clear. I'm not saying he's good.
And I want to be clear. They definitely set him up as to make sure that you knew that there was nothing good about this dude when he's in the hospital and says what he says to her. She's like, we need to, and he's like, his wife wouldn't want to see her husband in jail.
He was right. He said, I'm respecting her wishes because she said, no, but that's the thing, Caroline. You can't have it both ways. You can't say.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that he should be less concerned about his brainwashed daughter's like he should be trying to get an abused his daughter who's being abused out of the abusive situation.
Yeah, but he showed up. That's what he said. He showed up with those dudes. Like, the whole implication was we can't kill her, can't put him in jail. He was going to go. He was got to go beat the shit out of him. That was the whole point. So I'm saying, at some point, if the father says, let's do this, and what actually happens is you murder this guy, another woman gets murdered. Like the chaos at some point, is there any justice for Daisy who did nothing wrong?
No, justice for Daisy.
So I'm saying, like, if we look at Daisy, a matter of fact, if we look at Daisy as the moral compass of this movie, you cannot root for either these two or the dad. If you look at Daisy as the moral compass of this movie.
That's true, but that's only if you're trying to call like balls and strikes. If you're trying to be like good person, bad person, good person, bad person. And I get that she's like one of the least, like, she's a person who doesn't do harm, like egregious harm in this film.
But I'm saying not balls and strikes. I'm saying, like, if you think about it in terms of harm, if we only think about it in terms of harm, the only person who was like, hey, I love you, I want to hang out with you and be with you, was Daisy. She had pure intentions the majority of the movie. You're going to try to say she didn't?
No. I'm simply going to say, though, that before the thing happened.
What thing?
The ravine, the car trip.
Okay.
Up until that point, I was like, there was nothing negative or chaotic or bad about the two protagonists' relationship. It was extremely liberating. You didn't know?
No, she had her on drugs.
Well, okay, yes, that was a bad idea.
To cheat her way into the bodybuilding thing, that was a codependent relationship, if anything.
If you think that all of those people aren't using anabolic steroids when you see them,
I'm not saying it's morally good, but I'm saying, like, the abuse, if you come in here and be like, yo, I can help you, let's abuse these steroids, like, at some point, and the movie's not even trying to posit that it's good, because it's like, now she's shooting up between her toes, she's shooting up into her arms, all of those points, and you were squeamish too. So I'm saying, like, what was the relationship actually good?
Yes, it was.
What was good about it? Would you be in that relationship?
I do not know.
You would not. You absolutely would not. I know your husband. You absolutely would not. That was a chaos relationship.
But there was something like super free about the two of them together. There was something super liberated about the two of them together. Do you deny it?
I deny it.
Come on, man, really?
I think they put themselves in there. I know they put themselves in a special kind of bondage, because when you get to the end, you are now to a place where you are constantly cleaning up the messes of a person who is out of control. Like, if this was, and there was a lot of ways it felt like it was addict behavior, because it was like, how many times can you keep cleaning up this person's mess who keeps doing wild, impulsive stuff? That, Caroline, you know what? Here's the litmus test. if the bodybuilder had been a dude, there is no way in the world you would be sitting here defending this relationship.
No, of course not. But that's because that's less of an oppressed population. Like, this is a person who has been backed into a corner in a lot of ways. And if you love that person, are you going to, like, ride for them when they do some stupid shit? Like some very...
No. The only reason why I say no is because at this point, if she said, like, the first murder is like, all right, cool. The first murder, we took care of it. Stay in the house. Don't do nothing wild. And then what does she do? She leaves the house and does something wild.
That's just because she's jacked up on drugs.
And I think that's my point. With that, what would you rate this movie out of 5 stars?
I'm giving it a 4.25.
This is a 2.75 movie. There's no way in the world this should be above 4 stars. I'll let you have it. There's no way in the world this movie should be above 4 stars. The funny thing is it was 4.25 until that last third. And I was like, y'all trying it, and I don't know what's going on. You're playing to the audience, absolutely to the back row. I'm lost. What's happening here?
4.25.
All right, I give it a 2.75. It was a 4.25 and then I was like, maybe it's a 3.25. And then that last thing happened at the end, 2.75. Would you watch this again?
Absolutely.
You would do it like high though, right?
Probably, but I mean, I feel like it's going to come out on streaming, and I'm going to be like, John, we got to watch this.
I think it's definitely going to be a cult classic amongst the niche audience.
It gives that vibe.
But I want everyone to know that I was convinced that I was going to be saying, y'all got to see this movie. It's fantastic until the last third.
I feel like this is the lesbian Thelma and Louise for our era. You got to get on board.
If anything, it's Thelma and Louise mixed with, what was that movie, the crazy one about drugs with Marlon Wayans? A Requiem for a Dream, mixed with, there was another movie
that was
with
heroin, sir.
Yeah, it was addiction. There were 3 different types in there. Did you gotta watch it again? Yeah, okay. There was 3 different types of addiction in that movie. Then there was also I say Thelma and Louise, I say A Requiem for a Dream, and then the other one, the one with Hilary Swank, Boys Don't Cry. There was elements of Boys Don't Cry in there as well, in terms of like having the marginalized person who was taken in by a family or whatever.
All extremely strong films, all extremely strong influences. Excellent. Regarded as excellent movies.
Yeah, by themselves, but if I put them in a blender, I'd be like, this is kind of weird, and it was.
I love it.
Like, I love milk, and it's good in cereal. But
like
let's say,
drink?
let's just say you just took some milk and mixed it with, I don't know, olives. You just took some olives and some SpaghettiOs. No, actually, you took milk, which I like. You took olives, which I also like. And you took rice, which I also like. And you just put it in a blender. Just, that's this movie.
Dry rice. No, it's not. I think it was good. I think it's going to hold up. I do think it's going to be a cult classic. I was thoroughly entertained. I like that it blended like true crime, romance, fantasy. I loved it.
All right. I think it was a 2.75. I think it goes off the rails. I think it tries to do something that it doesn't actually accomplish. But I think you should go see it for yourself. And with that, Leaving the Theater is a production of OhitsBigRon Studios. I am mixing this episode. If you're listening to this being like, wow, Ronald, your mixing is not the best that I've ever heard, what you can do to fix that is go to patreon.com/leavingthetheater. That's patreon.com/leavingthetheater and help us out. Show art from Heather Wilder. Theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. For more information about Love Lies Bleeding or Caroline Hamric, check out our show notes. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads at OhitsBigRon. That's at OhitsBigRon. You can find out more about this show and other OhitsBigRon Studio shows by following us on Instagram at OhitsBigRon Studios and on Twitter at OhitsBigRonStew. That's STEW. Leaving the Theater will be back soon. Thanks for listening. And thanks for being on the show.
Remember
What are you going to say?
when you mispronounced my name just then?
I said Caroline Hamric.
You said Caroline Hamric.
We literally have it on tape. I could just play it. Because you do this a lot. You're always like, Ronnie, you said that wrong. You said this wrong. You misspoke all the time. It's like your thing. Your shtick is like pointing out my mistakes. It's like your whole shtick.
It's my name.
I said Caroline.
You did not.
Okay, we have it on tape. We can play it back. We're going to play it back right now. For more information about Love Lies Bleeding or Caroline Hamric,